What's going on, y'all? Welcome. Got for you today. Just got back from seeing Thor, Love, and Thunder. It was a good movie. I have fun. It was a fun movie. So there's a couple of things I did. I liked majority of it. Two things I didn't like, but synopsis, and then we get into it. So, Thor embarks on a journey unlike anything he's ever faced, a quest for peace. However, his retirement gets interrupted by Gore, the God Butcher, a galactic killer who seeks the extinction of the gods. Now, a couple things I want to get out the way. Well, two things, and then one I just want to clarify. So, two things. The movie is not woke, but there are woke elements, meaning that it's elements of wokeness in it, but it won't overbear the movie. You would enjoy, if you enjoy Thor Ragnarok, you would enjoy this movie. It's just a little bit, not a little bit, but it's there, but it doesn't, like, well, get down, good movie. We want woke stuff. You know, it's not like that. It don't beat the movie down to where you're just watching a woke movie. You're actually watching a good movie. It's like somebody open a bag of woke and just went like that. They sprinkled the woke in there. Two, well, it says Thor he wasn't really retired, but yeah. Well, I want to say that's two. Two is that it's a romantic comedy. That's what this movie is. That's what I should say. Two is that this is a romantic comedy for the majority part, and it works here. And I'm about to break down why. And the other thing is what I was about to say was the retirement thing. He's not so much retired, but he is trying to retire to be defined, because he wants to find himself. And it's a good dialogue between him and Peter Quill, who Peter Quill, he's basically astonished that, Thor has lived all these millennium. He's lived for thousands of years, and that, he's still like, he sees this element that you really are like, humans or other alien beings. Like, you're not really like what we think you are. Like, you think of a god or a demigod, you'll think they know who they are. And he's sitting here, he's like, you're just like, you don't really know who you are. You live all these years and don't know who you are. But with that being said, we got to talk about Gore. Because that's what this movie introduces, Gore and his reasons. And his reasons, to be blunt, his reasons are kind of valid. Because it's like they give you a reason to be like, well, dang it, I gotta say you kind of did push him there, It wasn't like, okay, he just was there, he was the God Butcher, and he just going around killing gods for some reason. No, there's a reason why he wants to kill gods. And you see the reason, and you're like, well, that's enough to make any man question the gods, to the point where if you had the ability to, you would probably do the same. Now, when we were introduced to him in the Necro Sword, or as I should put it, when he's even introduced to the Necro Sword, he doesn't even know what it is, because it's like the way how the movie portrays it. It's only a thing known to basically the gods and the people and to even Asgardians. It's only known to them. It's not really known to a lot of people. And even if it's like to people like us, it's like, even if we did hear about it, it's just a myth at best. But when we introduced to it, the way he's introduced to it, he is basically, an event happens and he kind of sort of, is looking for salvation. And he he finds it in the form of the God he's been, that the God that his people pray to. And that's in that scene, that's where we're introduced to not only a God, but the God that he prays to, and the Necro Sword. And from there, things go a little haywire, and thus Gore, the God Butcher, is born. Thor, the romantic comedy part comes from the Thor side of things, obviously. It's good. I mean, it works here. It does. The comedy does work here. If you enjoy the comedy in Thor Ragnarok, you're gonna enjoy it here. They kind of did, like, basically, that you could tell that they went, oh, hey, people really did like the comedy in Thor Love and Thor Ragnarok. In this movie, let's go, let's turn up like 2-3 notches. They do that. I love the way that they introduced Mighty Thor, or AKA Jane Foster, and how she ended up. They did tweak it they did tweak one thing in the comics. Because if you're a comic book fan like me, you know how the Mighty Thor was able to get Imagineer. And it's because a particular thing happens that makes Thor unworthy, and thus it chooses her. Though, and they tweak that in the sense of, the best way to put it without spoiling it is that there really is magic in love. So I just leave that as a hint as to how they tweet how she becomes the Mighty Thor from the comics. But other than that, everything else is still comic book accurate. Mighty Thor Jane, everything else is still there. The sickness and all that type of stuff, that's still there. And she was very much important to the story as Thor was, but it didn't make her overshadow him. But it was there like, this is awkward because last time we saw each other, this and that and that, and they expand upon it. One of the things when I found out that they broke up in the previous movies, one of the things that this movie does is expand upon it and actually show you what led to that. They actually show you the life that they had together that led them to, what led them to breaking up. And I love that part for her part, and how they salvage that, how they go about that. They did what they did with Thor and Jane, and I'm all here for it. I love King Valkyrie. She's in there. I love the fact that they could. I wish they would have used her more, but it was my two nitpicks is not that. It's not how they didn't use her enough, but I wish they would have. Lady Sif is in there. And I'm glad they did her justice, brought her back. Especially because I didn't like how they killed off just her and her group like that. They just ran them off. And I'm glad that at least in some ways they respected enough to bring a character back and be like, yeah, It's a fun scene though between Lady Sif and Thor that I like too. The Thor's goats are hilarious. I love them. They're part of the hilarity of the comedy, and they do it so well. There's certain points where they do it so well. Gore, the visuals was good, especially giving you the comic book accurate look of Gore in certain scenes. I want to say I enjoyed the visuals. The most enjoyable I got out of the visuals were the scenes where they used the visuals to kind of give you how Gore the God Butcher looked in the comics, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can't even lie, that's cool. And then the other visuals are how the gods look, how the city where they are look, the fact that with people like Thor, Valkyrie, and Jane, they all bleed the same color, but the gods actually bleed gold. That was a cool visual. Gore's, back to the story itself. Gore's, path of destruction is what brings, Thor back from his, ventures in space to interact with Jane and the others, and they go on this adventure to stop them. There's a unique way they tell the story that I only ever see really done in TV shows a lot. They do it in TV shows, but in particular, like different certain episodes are told this way, and you don't see it a lot in movies and big name movies at that. But they did it right here, just like the comedy. For me at least, they got it right here, and I'm all for it. So I love the acting. Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, they did good as their characters. Love them. I love Kristen. I love Watiti. I think that's how you say his name. His character was funny too. I enjoyed all of them. Russell Crowe as Zeus. I enjoyed him. He was funny. I love the flick scene. The interaction with him was cool. Man, y'all gotta see that. That scene with the Zeus and stuff was funny. And I'm not just talking about the flick stuff too. There's other stuff that happened that made it funny. But the Network show itself, I know I got a long history. Not gonna really get into it because I'm not gonna harping on them about it because they really haven't really introduced that part of the side. Freaking fly is irritating me. Sorry, they really haven't introduced that part of the MCU yet, but hopefully that it makes a return sometime down the line. What I wanted to say, this is anything else I wanted to talk about? Well, I can't think about it. I love that there's some cameos in the movie. I love it. But I guess I would say the two things I didn't like about this movie was when it started with Gore. And it's not that everything about Christian Bale and his performance as Gore the God Butcher was cool. I loved it. The thing is not his performance. It's the direction of what the people behind the scenes chose to show us in the movie. And what I mean by that is that, when you hear the name Gore the God Butcher, and you know his history in the comics, you're expecting him to you're expecting to see some God butchering. And you do, but it's like the majority of it is done off screen to the point where the only reason why we find out about it exposition told to us through telling Thor and the others. And it's like to the point where even they don't realize that they're about to be attacked by him is through exposition. And to put it to you this way, this hand, that's what you actually see of him killing the god. This hand is what you don't see, which is just told to you through exposition or them, going to the crime scene afterwards. It's up here. This is down here. That should give you an idea of what you're expecting when it comes to Gore's God Butcher. You're going to see more of exposition and telling you about it than you do seeing it. The other thing is just that a particular character's direction in this movie, because in the comics, this particular character, it doesn't exit so quickly. They actually have a more prominent role up until that actual eventual exit. And obviously, because this is a movie, characters have to be, people have to negotiate contracts, this and that and that. And maybe this person didn't want to continue beyond this movie, but I was hoping that this person continue beyond this movie to see more of this character interact with you. God, when you interact with this more, interact more. You want to interrupt me again? Interact more with other characters in the MCU. But there are callbacks to other things. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy that callbacks to the Young Avengers. With that being said, though, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 big ups just because of the fact that it was a good movie. But it was a good movie, so it was an enjoyable movie. There were 2 post-credit scenes. I didn't forget about those. There's a mid-credit scene, and then there's a scene after the credits. And the mid-credit scene you have to stay for because that sets up the further into the Thor movies. It sets up the next movie or what's coming next with the MCU, and plus a character debuts in that scene. And then the post-credit scene is just a send-off, says goodbye to a particular character. But with that being said, like I said, that's all I got. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought. If you've seen this movie, if you enjoyed this review, then you hit without spoiling it too. Don't spoil it in the comments. But if you enjoyed, you hit this button right there in the upper right corner for all of my reviews. And if you enjoyed this video so much you want to support the channel, all you gotta do is hit the like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, hit that thanks button, and hit that joy button. You want to see me react to your favorite TV shows. Oh, one last thing before I leave off. The gods, there's a reason why the Gore, the God Butcher, hates them. So I want to say this before I exit this video, is that going into this, think about this. The gods, the people who made this movie was watching a particular show. Combine that with what I just said about Gore having a legit reason why he hates the gods, and the way in a particular show that these people was watching, they model the gods in this movie after that. You'll understand what show I'm talking about because I've done a review on this show. So, with all that being said, peace out. See you in the next one.